The strange object entered Earth's solar system on a Tuesday. At first, astronomers thought it was just another comet or asteroid. But this object slowed down. It changed direction. It was artificial. Commander Alex Hayes was eating breakfast when he got the call. As head of the International Space Defense Coalition, he was the first person they contacted when something unusual appeared in space. "Commander, we have an unidentified object approaching Earth orbit," said the voice on the phone. "It's definitely not one of ours." Alex put down his coffee cup. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. The control room buzzed with nervous energy when Alex arrived. Dozens of screens showed the object from different angles and wavelengths. It was sleek and metallic, about the size of a small bus. "What do we know?" Alex asked. Major Linda Bennett looked up from her console. "It's broadcasting something. Radio signals, multiple frequencies. A message." "We think so. The patterns are too regular to be random noise." Alex nodded. "Get Dr. Powell on this immediately." Dr. Lisa Powell was the world's leading expert in communication theory and linguistics. If anyone could make sense of an alien message, it was her. She arrived at the facility 3 hours later, eyes bright with excitement despite the emergency. "This is incredible," she said, studying the signal patterns. "These aren't just random transmissions. They're structured, purposeful." For 2 days, Lisa worked without stopping. She set up advanced computers to analyze the signals and search for patterns. On the morning of the 3rd day, she called Alex. "I've got something," she said. "The main broadcast contains a simple mathematical sequence that establishes a common language. Then it shifts to symbolic communication. It's requesting diplomatic contact." World leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The alien probe continued to orbit Earth, sending its message every 4 hours. On screens around the world, people watched footage of the alien vessel. Some celebrated, some prayed, some feared. "We should respond," said President Samantha Wilson. "Show them we're willing to talk." "It could be a trap," warned General Jackson. "We need to be careful." While the politicians debated, Lisa continued to study the signals. Something bothered her about the transmissions. She isolated different frequency bands and examined them separately. "Oh no," she whispered. Hidden within the friendly message was another signal. It was scanning Earth's cities, mapping military installations, calculating population centers. The probe wasn't just saying hello. It was gathering intelligence. Lisa rushed to Alex's office, interrupting a video conference with military leaders. "They're not just here to talk," she said, spreading her data across his desk. "Look at these secondary transmissions. They're taking detailed scans of our defenses, our power grids, our major cities." Alex studied the evidence, his face growing grim. "We need to alert the Security Council immediately." That evening, as the world prepared a formal response to the aliens, Alex stood at the window of his office, watching the stars. Somewhere up there, the alien probe silently circled Earth, gathering information for whoever had sent it. "What do you want?" he whispered to the night sky. Lisa joined him at the window. "Whatever they want, they're not being honest about it." "Options. We respond like we don't know what they're doing," she said. "We play along, but we prepare." Alex nodded slowly. "I studied military history my whole life. This is how invasion starts. They're scouting us. So what do we do?" Alex turned from the window. His eyes were hard with determination. "We get ready, quietly, and when they come back with their real intentions, we'll be waiting." As they spoke, scientists around the world noticed something new. More objects, much smaller than the probe, had entered the solar system. They were approaching from multiple directions. Earth's first contact was about to become much more complicated. Earth's response to the alien probe was carefully crafted. Ambassador Susan Foster led the team that composed a message of peace and friendship, inviting the visitors to formal talks. But behind this friendly face, humanity prepared. Captain Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the Vigilant, Earth's newest space vessel. Built in secret over the past decade, it was humanity's most advanced ship. "Keep your distance," Daniel ordered his crew. "Track the probe, but don't let it detect us." The Vigilant followed the alien probe from a safe distance. Its stealth systems were untested against alien technology, but so far they seemed to be working. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Olivia Martin. "The aliens are responding to Earth's message." The response from what called itself the Krell Dominion was friendly. They accepted Earth's invitation for talks and promised to send a diplomatic vessel. The world celebrated this news, but military leaders remained suspicious. In a bunker beneath Geneva, Ambassador Foster met with Earth's Defense Council. "The Krell ambassador will arrive in 3 days," she explained. "We'll host them at the neutral facility in Antarctica." Major Eric Taylor, who had been unusually quiet, cleared his throat. "Ambassador, there's something you should see." He pulled up images on the main screen. They showed heat signatures far beyond Neptune's orbit. Dozens of them. "These appeared 2 hours ago," Eric said. "They're attempting to mask their approach, but our new deep space sensors detected them." Alex Hayes studied the images. "A fleet?" "Yes, sir, and they're coming from the opposite direction of the probe." The room fell silent as everyone understood the implications. Earth was being surrounded in a classic military maneuver. "They think we're primitive," Susan said quietly. "They don't realize we've seen this tactic before in our own wars." General Patricia Martinez stood up. "It's time to implement Scorched Earth." Scorched Earth was a contingency plan developed after the recovery of an alien ship that had crashed in Russia 50 years earlier. World governments had kept it secret, but they had been preparing for this day for decades. "Begin evacuations to the underground shelters," Patricia ordered. Quietly. "We don't want to show panic." As the world prepared for the diplomatic meeting, military forces mobilized beneath the surface. Weapons systems that had never been publicly acknowledged were brought online. Space platforms disguised as satellites revealed their true nature. On the day the Krell diplomatic vessel arrived, Earth presented a picture of excited innocence. Ambassador Foster greeted the alien representative with a warm smile. The Krell ambassador was tall and reptilian, with iridescent scales and 4 arms. "We bring greetings from the Dominion," it said through a translator. "We look forward to bringing Earth into our collective." "We're honored," Susan replied, betraying nothing of what she knew. As they talked, Daniel Wright and the Vigilant tracked the approaching fleet. "They'll be in strike range in 28 hours, he reported to command. Eric Taylor monitored Krell communications. Thanks to Lisa Powell's work, they could now partially decode the aliens' messages. "They're discussing invasion plans," Eric confirmed. "The diplomatic mission is just a distraction." The Krell ambassador toured Earth facilities, asking questions about population centers and resources. Susan noted how the questions focused on infrastructure and defenses. "Your species has achieved much for being so young," the ambassador said with what seemed like genuine admiration. "We're full of surprises," Susan answered. That night, as the Krell ambassador slept in its quarters, humanity made final preparations. Children were moved to underground shelters. Military personnel took positions. Weapons were armed. The Krell thought they were dealing with an unsuspecting, primitive species. They had no idea that humanity had seen them coming long before they arrived, and had been planning this moment for generations. Earth was ready, and when the invasion fleet arrived, the Krell would receive humanity's real message. General Patricia Martinez stood in the Global Command Center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, officers from every major nation on Earth worked in focused silence. Wall screens showed the approaching Krell fleet, now just 20 hours from attack position. "Operation Scorched Earth is now active," Patricia announced. "All nations report readiness status." One by one, representatives from each country confirmed their forces were ready. For the first time in human history, the entire planet stood united against an outside threat. "Never thought I'd see this day," muttered Colonel Greg Wilson. Russians, Chinese, Americans all working together. Patricia nodded. Nothing unites people like a common enemy. Across the planet, preparations continued with quiet efficiency. In underground facilities, civilian populations settled into shelters designed decades ago for this very purpose. On the surface, automated defense systems waited beneath innocent exteriors. Earth appeared peaceful and unaware, exactly as planned. In a secure lab beneath the Indian Ocean, engineer Kevin Patel ran final tests on humanity's secret weapon. The shield technology had been developed by studying the crashed alien ship from 50 years ago. Now it was Earth's best hope for survival. The energy requirements are massive, Kevin explained to the gathered officers. But we've distributed power nodes across all continents. When activated, the shield will cover major population centers. Will it stop their weapons? Asked the Chinese general. Kevin's expression was grim. Based on what we've learned about Krell technology, it should withstand their initial bombardment. After that, we'll see. On Mars and Luna, human colonies prepared their own defenses. Though small, these outposts contained experimental weapons too dangerous to test on Earth. Now they would serve as flanking positions when the Krell attacked. Luna base to command, came the message. All rail guns aligned and ready. We have targeting solutions for the entire enemy fleet. While Earth prepared, Ambassador Susan Foster continued to engage with the Krell diplomat. Their meetings were cordial, even friendly, but Susan noticed the ambassador growing increasingly confused by humanity's calm demeanor. Your people seem remarkably unconcerned about our presence, the Krell representative said during their third meeting. Most species show more anxiety when meeting advanced civilizations. Susan smiled pleasantly. We're naturally curious beings. Change excites us rather than frightens us. The Krell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. A gesture Susan had learned indicated skepticism. Perhaps, or perhaps you don't fully comprehend the significance of this moment for your species. I assure you, we understand perfectly, Susan replied, thinking of the massive military mobilization happening beneath their feet. That evening, the Krell ambassador requested an encrypted communication with its fleet. Earth intelligence monitored the transmission, though they could only decode portions of it. The humans show no signs of military awareness. Recommend proceeding with conquest plan. Minimal resistance expected. General Martinez smiled when she heard the translation. They still have no idea. In orbit, Captain Daniel Wright and the Vigilant maintained their shadow position near the Krell diplomatic vessel. His crew had been on high alert for days, waiting for the signal to act. Captain, called his sensor officer, the alien ship is powering up weapons systems. Daniel nodded. Right on schedule. They're getting ready for their friends to arrive. Should we engage? Not yet. Let them think their surprise is still intact. 12 hours before the expected attack, Earth completed its final preparations. Military forces took position in hidden bunkers. Orbital platforms disguised as communications satellites oriented their concealed weapons toward the approaching fleet. Power systems around the world diverted energy to the shield generators. In the command center, Patricia Martinez received the final readiness report. All systems are go, General. Earth is ready. She looked at the countdown timer, 11:47:23, until the Krell fleet would enter attack range. Now we wait, she said quietly, and let them make the first move. The Krell still believed they were facing an unsuspecting, primitive planet. They had no idea they were flying into the most elaborate trap humanity had ever set. The Krell attack began at dawn. Their massive warships entered Earth orbit in perfect formation, weapons hot and ready to fire. On the bridge of the Krell flagship, Commander Vexnar watched Earth's blue surface with cold satisfaction. No defensive measures detected, reported his tactical officer. Their primitive satellites are not even tracking us. As expected, Vexnar said, begin the standard conquest protocol. Target their major military installations first, then government centers. The Krell ships positioned themselves above Earth's major cities, their weapons charged, glowing with deadly energy. "Fire," ordered Vexnar. In that moment, Admiral John Rivera gave the order everyone had been waiting for. Activate all systems. Now. Across Earth, hidden defense platforms emerged from the ocean, from mountain hideaways, from beneath what had appeared to be ordinary buildings. In orbit, satellites shed their disguises, revealing weapons pointed at the Krull ships. Kevin Patel pressed the activation sequence for the planetary shield. Around the world, power stations diverted their energy to the hidden network. A shimmer appeared in the air above major cities. The Krell weapons fired. Beams of destructive energy shot toward Earth and hit the shield. "What is this?" Vexnar demanded as reports flooded in. "They have defensive technology." "Impossible." Before the Krell could adjust, Earth struck back. From Luna and Mars, railguns fired projectiles at near-light speed. From Earth's surface, energy weapons locked onto Krell vessels. From hidden orbital platforms, missiles streaked toward the alien ships. The Krell fleet, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to raise their own shields. They were waiting for us, Vexnar realized with shock. This was a trap. The battle for Earth had begun. Lieutenant Maria Sanchez led her squadron of fighters from their hidden base inside an asteroid. Her 12 pilots had trained for years for this moment. "Mantis Squadron, form up," she ordered. "Target the flagship's propulsion systems." Their small, agile craft darted between the massive Krell warships. The aliens had not expected resistance from space and had minimal point defense systems active. "They didn't think we could reach orbit," Maria told her pilots. "Let's show them how wrong they were." Her squadron attacked the flagship's engines with precision strikes. The Krell vessels were powerful but slow to maneuver. The human fighters, though technologically inferior, exploited this weakness perfectly. In the command center, Admiral Rivera watched the battle unfold. The Krell held the advantage in firepower, but Earth had surprise on its side. "Status report," he demanded. "Shields holding at 82% capacity," reported an officer. "Krell fleet has lost 4 vessels. Their formation is breaking." And the Vigilant. "Captain Wright has engaged the diplomatic vessel as planned." In orbit, Daniel Wright's ship revealed itself. The Vigilant had been shadowing the Krell diplomatic vessel for days. Now it attacked, disabling the ship's engines before it could escape. "Boarding teams ready," Daniel reported. "We're taking the ship intact." The Krell commander, Vexnar, watched in disbelief as his carefully planned invasion fell apart. His secondary ships were under heavy fire from Earth's defenses. His flagship's engines were damaged. And now Earth forces were boarding his diplomatic vessel. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their technology is decades beyond what our scouts reported." "Commander," his science officer replied, voice shaking, "I believe they have been studying us." The humans knew we were coming. Above Earth, the battle raged across the orbital plane. Krell vessels fired desperately at the smaller human ships. The planetary shield flickered under the assault but held firm. Maria Sanchez led her squadron in another attack run on the Krell flagship. Her target was the command bridge. "One pass," she told her pilots. "Make it count." Their fighters streaked toward the flagship, weapons firing. The Krell point defenses tracked them, but Maria's pilots were too skilled to hit easily. Their missiles struck the bridge section. Explosions rippled across the flagship's hull. On Earth, humans watched the battle through telescope images and news reports. For the first time, they saw humanity fighting as one against an outside threat. The Krell had expected an easy conquest of a primitive world. Instead, they found humanity waiting, ready, and more than capable of defending their home. 3 days after the Battle of Earth, Colonel Ryan Foster stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first true warship. Around him, the crew worked with focused intensity, preparing for humanity's first mission beyond the solar system. "Engine status," Ryan asked his executive officer. "Dr. Clark's FTL drive is online and stable," she replied. We can jump whenever you're ready. Ryan nodded, feeling the weight of his mission. Just a week ago, humans had never ventured beyond Mars. Now they were about to pursue the retreating Krell fleet into deep space. "All ships report ready, Colonel," said the communications officer. "The fleet awaits your order." Ryan took a deep breath. "Begin the countdown. We jump in 5 minutes." Earth's counterattack force consisted of 7 ships, hastily equipped with the new faster-than-light drive, developed by Dr. Nathan Clark. The technology had been ready for years, hidden in secret labs until humanity needed it. "This is what we planned for," Ryan reminded his crew. "The Krell think they're escaping to safety. They don't realize we can follow." The countdown reached 0. The stars outside the viewports blurred and shifted as the human fleet entered faster-than-light travel for the first time. Hours later, they emerged in an unknown star system. Ahead floated the damaged Krell fleet, limping toward a massive space station. "They haven't detected us yet," reported the sensor officer. "Their detection systems are focused forward." Ryan smiled grimly. "Perfect. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Target their engines first. We want prisoners and intact technology." The human ships struck hard and fast. The already damaged Krell vessels stood little chance. Within an hour, 3 alien ships had been captured. The others fled deeper into the system. On board the largest captured Krell vessel, Intelligence Officer Olivia Bennett led the boarding team. They moved cautiously through the alien corridors, weapons ready. "Remember, we need information more than kills," Olivia reminded her team. "Take prisoners when possible." They reached the bridge to find a dozen Krell waiting, including one wearing elaborate armor. The Krell commander. "You have violated Krell space," the commander hissed through a translator. "This act of aggression will be answered." Olivia stepped forward. "Your people attacked our world without provocation. We're simply returning the favor." The Krell prisoners were secured and transported to the Defiance for questioning. Dr. Clark and his team began examining the alien technology, particularly interested in their communication systems. "Their tech isn't actually that much more advanced than ours," Nathan reported to Ryan. "They just developed in different directions. And look at this." He showed Ryan a data pad with translations of Krell communications. "They're not the top predators. They answer to someone else, a species they call the Overseers." Ryan frowned. "The Krell are just proxies." "Exactly. They were ordered to subjugate Earth as a proving ground, a test of their worthiness." Meanwhile, Olivia conducted her interrogation of the Krell commander. After hours of resistance, the alien finally began to talk. "You don't understand what you've done," the Krell said, scales rippling with agitation. "By defeating us, you've only drawn the attention of the Overseers. They control 100 systems. Thousands of species serve them." "Why Earth?" Olivia asked. "Why attack us?" The Krell made a sound like bitter laughter. "We were ordered to prove ourselves by conquering your world. The Overseers considered you primitive, easy targets. They were clearly mistaken." Olivia leaned forward. "So they're watching. They know what happened. They know, and they will come for you now." Back on the bridge, Ryan received Olivia's report with grim determination. "So we've just attracted the attention of a much bigger threat." "Yes, but we also have their technology now," Nathan pointed out, "and the element of surprise. The Overseers, whoever they are, clearly underestimated us." Ryan nodded slowly, looking at the unfamiliar stars outside the viewports. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger, more dangerous galaxy, but they hadn't come unprepared. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them what we've learned, and that we're continuing our mission." The human fleet regrouped, preparing to push deeper into Krell space. What had begun as a defensive stand was now becoming humanity's first interstellar campaign. The hunters had become the hunted. 2 weeks after humanity's first interstellar battle, the Grand Council Chamber of the United Nations stood ready for an unprecedented meeting. Delegates from every nation on Earth filled the seats, At the center of the chamber sat a special containment area where the captured Krell representatives waited. President Samantha Wilson stepped to the podium. Her face showed the strain of recent events, but her voice was strong and clear. Today we address not just our world, but the galaxy beyond, she began. For decades we suspected we were not alone. Now we know for certain. Behind her, large screens displayed images from the battles in Earth orbit and in the distant Krell system. The audience watched in silence as humanity's victories played out before them. The Krell attacked without warning or justification, Samantha continued. They believed us to be primitive and defenseless. They were wrong. The lead Krell prisoner was brought forward. Ambassador Susan Foster stood beside the alien, serving as intermediary. Your leaders will now hear our message, Susan told the Krell. A message we want transmitted to your overseers and any other watching species. Technicians activated a special broadcasting system. Dr. Lisa Powell had determined that the signal would reach across vast distances through channels the Krell used for their own communications. The entire galaxy would hear Earth's message. To the civilizations of this galaxy, President Wilson began, her voice now reaching beyond Earth for the first time. We are humanity of the planet Earth. Until recently, we believed we might be alone in the universe. We now know better. She paused, her expression hardening. We know you've been watching us. We know you've sent scout ships to our world. We recovered one that crashed 50 years ago. We've been monitoring your communications, studying your technology, and preparing for this day. The Krell delegates shifted uncomfortably as they realized the full extent of humanity's deception. The Krell invasion force was defeated because we were ready. We allowed them to think we were unaware, primitive, easy targets. We let them spring their trap, then sprung our own. Samantha leaned forward, her voice taking on a steely edge. This is humanity's formal notice to the galaxy. Earth and the Sol system are sovereign territory. We seek peaceful relations with other civilizations, but we will not be conquered, subjugated, or exploited. Any hostile action against our world will be met with overwhelming force. On screens around the planet, people watch their president deliver humanity's first galactic declaration. To prove we are serious, we are transmitting data from our counterattack against the Krell. We pursued their fleet beyond our system. We captured their ships and technology. We can, and will do the same to any who threaten us. The captured Krell commander made a low hissing sound as video played of human forces boarding alien vessels. We are not the primitive species you believed us to be, Samantha continued. We have monitored your conquest patterns. We have prepared accordingly. We are ready and waiting. She softened her tone slightly. However, to any peaceful civilizations watching this broadcast, we offer friendship and exchange. Earth would welcome allies who approach with honest intentions. We have much to learn from each other. In orbit, Earth's defense fleet remained on high alert. The captured Krell ships had been studied, and their technology incorporated into human vessels. Captain Daniel Wright's Vigilant now sported alien-derived weapon systems. Our message is simple, President Wilson concluded. Earth is protected. Humanity will defend itself. We are ready and waiting for whatever comes next. The choice of how you approach us is yours. The broadcast ended. For several moments, the council chamber remained silent. Susan turned to the Krell ambassador. Your leaders will receive this message. The alien's scales rippled with emotion. The entire Dominion will hear it, and the overseers. Good, Susan replied. That's exactly what we want. As the council session ended, military leaders met to discuss next steps. Earth's first contacts with alien life had been hostile, but the door remained open for peaceful relations with other species. The waiting had begun. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy. Now they would see who answered their call. The first response to Earth's message arrived 3 weeks later. A small vessel approached the outer edge of the solar system, broadcasting on all frequencies that it came in peace. Unlike the Krell ships, this vessel was sleek and organic-looking. It belonged to a species called the Novan, and they were not part of the Overseer Empire. Admiral John Rivera watched from the command center as the alien ship was escorted to Earth orbit by fighter squadrons. "They're requesting permission to send representatives to the surface," reported his communications officer. John nodded. "Granted, but full security protocols remain in place." The Novan delegates were nothing like the reptilian Krell. They were tall, willowy beings with luminescent skin that shifted colors as they spoke. Their eyes were large and expressive, showing what seemed like genuine curiosity about humans. "We watched your broadcast," the lead Novan told President Wilson during their first meeting. "For too long, many worlds have suffered under the Overseers and their proxy forces like the Krell. No one has successfully stood against them, until now." More delegations followed. Some came openly seeking alliance with Earth for protection against the Overseers. Others arrived with suspicion, concerned that humans might become a new threat to the galactic order. Dr. Andrew Mitchell, an archaeologist working with alien data from the Novan archives, made a stunning discovery 6 months after Earth's broadcast. "They weren't the first," he told the Security Council, displaying images of ancient ruins on distant worlds. "Other civilizations rose up against the Overseers before, but they stood alone, and they fell." Andrew's findings revealed a pattern stretching back thousands of years. The Overseers allowed subordinate species like the Krell to expand and conquer, then harvested the resources and technology of both conqueror and conquered. "It's a farming system," Andrew explained. "They cultivate species, then harvest them when they reach a certain level of advancement." This revelation spurred Earth to reach out to potential allies. Captain Maria Sanchez, now commanding her own vessel, led diplomatic missions to worlds identified as possible partners. The Overseers maintained control by keeping species isolated and afraid, Maria told a gathering of alien representatives. "Together, we can break that pattern." Not all responses to Earth's defiance were positive. Some species, deeply entrenched in the Overseer hierarchy, viewed humans as dangerous upstarts. Trade embargoes were established against Earth. Threats were made. Earth responded by expanding its defense perimeter. Colonel Ryan Foster led the construction of outposts beyond the solar system, creating an early warning network. "They'll come eventually," Ryan told his officers. "The Overseers can't ignore our challenge forever. But when they do, they'll find us ready." 1 year after Earth's first contact with the Krell, humanity's representatives traveled to Centauri Station, a neutral trading hub where the Galactic Council met. This loose federation of independent worlds had existed in the shadows of the Overseer Empire for centuries. President Wilson personally led Earth's delegation. The council chamber fell silent as humans entered for the first time. Dozens of alien species watched, some with hope, others with fear. "Humanity requests formal recognition as a sovereign system," Samantha announced, "and we offer alliance to any who wish to stand with us against those who would take our freedom." A representative of the Overseers, a being encased in an ornate mechanical shell, rose in opposition. "These humans are dangerous," it stated. "They attacked a peaceful Krell expedition. They spread disorder in established territories. They should be quarantined, not welcomed." The chamber erupted in debate. Many species had suffered under Overseer rule, but had been too afraid to speak out. Now, with Earth offering protection, they found their voices. When the vote came, it was close, but Earth was granted a seat on the council. As Samantha took her place among the representatives of 100 worlds, she carried not just the hopes of humanity, but of many other species looking for a defender. Earth's warning to the galaxy had been heard. What had begun as a desperate defense of one planet was becoming something much larger, a revolution that would reshape the stars. Humanity had taken its place in the cosmos, and the galaxy would never be the same.